get some deeper and richer understanding around some of the issues that are popping up for people. And I'm just going to start off with a couple here. And again, we're not going to dive into it here. We're just going to bring it to your awareness because maybe you have some comments that you want to share, or you've got some resources. Hey, guys, I'd like to get you to this, and so that you can use it in the courses. And we'd so appreciate that. So, welcome for that. A couple of the issues that are popping up is, especially for new mentors, is where do you start the conversation? Is where to get started is another issue that keeps popping up, which is what's in and what's out of the conversation, which is sometimes called boundaries. What is the boundary that we're working with here? Because if it's a mentoring in the workplace program, or it's a youth mentoring program, or it's a parents and grandparents, what's the boundary that we're working with here? Because that will help to give you a sense of where you start. And so we're going to dive into that a little bit more in subsequent shows, because the mentoring arrangement leans into or led by the mentor. And therefore, the mentor has to get things started up, because the mentee may not always know how to make it work. So the mentor has got to get it going, then the mentee, and then eventually you'll get to a point that you are starting, there we go, and we're doing what it is that we're meant to do. And so that's an important element. The other one, and it links to today's theme, which is about ethical values. What is the ethical value? What's ethically neutral? What's one of the reasons we did the show, and we found that was a topic that's out there, and we're going, okay, this makes sense. We're meant to chat about that in this one. And again, it's about clarifying the boundaries. What's in and what's out of the what's going on. What's going on over there that you want to chat about?
Well, the big thing for me that I noticed in a couple of the articles I went through this morning, and I think it was Cornerstone on Demand was one of the websites I was in, was they were talking specifically about leadership and how to go about developing potential leaders, and that there was this huge leadership talent shortage. And I'm just going to grab the article here, where it was actually a study that was done on LinkedIn that it showed that 61% of companies do not offer any leadership training. And that was one point. So that's a huge issue for certainly from where I'm looking at things. The other that I found quite interesting, because if you want to get people's attention, talk money, is the aspect the study found that the average company forfeits more than $1 million annually in untapped potential and loses up to 50% of productivity because of subpar leadership practices.
Wow.
It was startling for me to go through. I knew some of the numbers were way up there because I've been following this particular thing quite a bit, because here's to sort of tie this together to our conversation is the aspect that we have leadership development programs in some organizations, but what they fail to do is they provide the academic knowledge that people need, what they need to know academically, to be a leader, but we don't provide them the practical application. So we throw them in the deep end of the pool and say, swim, but we're not there to support them. We're not there to throw a life raft or a preserver and say at the end of the day, what went well, what didn't go well, what are we going to do differently next time?
Right. But that brings up another piece that you found as well when you were digging around in there, and that was that whole area of confidentiality. Do you want to share a little bit about that part?
Yes, the aspect of confidentiality, and for me, this has always been something that I'm cognizant of, and that's because I am working with multiple clients at any given time. And so, some have bigger issues than others, but you still have to be cognizant of that. And what was said in the article was they used the word quality mentors. I'm going to substitute that and say extraordinary mentors can compartmentalize each client's situation, problems, and possible solutions. So the difference between, your mentor that's trying to do good and trying to help people as best they can versus someone that is fully engaged, we'll call it, is their practice, for lack of a better choice of words, their mentoring practice and their multiple clients and all of that. They need to be able to figure out how to compartmentalize that. But the other part that's not talked about in this article is, how do you deal with, if you're dealing with some pretty heavy stuff, how do you personally deal with that as well?
Well, I think that this confidentiality piece and the leadership aspect, I think we need to, as we say, unpack it and dig into this a little bit deeper. So I think we'll acknowledge that for one of the shows that's coming up, and to be able to take a look at it. So those are some of the issues that we're hearing. We've been picking up a few others, but those are ones that we just wanted to highlight today.